Have you ever looked at a giant spreadsheet and just wondered, how on earth does this become a real business decision? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today. We're going to follow the journey of a data analyst step by step as they take a basic question and turn it into something truly powerful.
This right here, this is pretty much the job description. It's not just about crunching numbers. A data analyst is really a translator, right? They're the bridge between the raw data and the actual decisions a company makes. Their whole job is to find the story that's hiding in all those numbers.
Okay, so that's the big idea. But how does it actually work in practice? How do you go from a messy spreadsheet to a smart business decision? That's what this is all about. We're going to follow what I'm calling an analyst's journey. We'll take a super common business problem and break down the exact steps, tool by tool.
All right, first stop on our journey. We're starting with a real powerhouse, but one that's surprisingly easy to use, the pivot table. Seriously, if you need to make sense of a huge amount of data fast, this is your best friend. It helps you summarize everything and spot patterns. And the best part? No code required.
So here's the task. Imagine your boss comes to you with this question. It's super clear, super direct. Which department is making us the most money? This is a classic request, something an analyst would get all the time.
Okay, let's get our hands dirty. This is the raw data our analyst is looking at. Now, this is just a tiny snippet, right? In reality, you've got to imagine this with thousands, maybe even millions of rows. Just trying to scroll through this to find an answer? Yeah, that's just not going to happen. It would be impossible.
But here's the great news. You don't have to scroll. In pretty much any spreadsheet program out there, it's a simple three-step process. You just select all your data, hit Insert Pivot Table, and then you get to tell it exactly how to slice and dice everything.
And this is where the magic really happens. You see this little editor panel? All you do is drag and drop. We take the department field and pop it into the rows box. Bam! The spreadsheet automatically creates one row for each department. Then we grab sales amount, drop it into values, and make sure it's set to sum. That's literally it.
And there you have it, just like that. In what, a few seconds? We took that giant, messy list of sales and turned it into this perfectly clean, super clear summary. The answer we were looking for is now just staring us right in the face.
So, boom, task number 1 is officially complete. We can now go back to our stakeholders with a confident, data-backed answer. The toys department is our biggest revenue generator. See? So simple, so fast, and incredibly effective.
But a really good analyst knows that the job isn't over. In fact, a good first answer almost always sparks an even better, more important question. That first insight, it's usually just the beginning of the story.
And there it is, just as we expected. Management loves the first answer, but now they're curious. They want to dig deeper. They're asking, okay, great, but who are the sales reps making this happen? And here's our first big hurdle. Our sales data doesn't have any employee names.
This happens all the time in data analysis. It's a classic problem. The information you need is split up into different places. You've got sales data here, employee data over there. To really get the full picture, we have to level up. It's time to move beyond the spreadsheet and start talking the language of databases, which is SQL.
So how are we going to connect these two separate worlds? We're going to use one of the most essential tools in all of SQL, the join. A join is exactly what it sounds like. It lets us stitch these two tables together to create one single complete view of our data.
Okay, so let's be really clear about our new business question. They want to see, for every single sale, the product, how much it sold for, and the name of the person who sold it. That means we need to grab bits of info from both our tables and show them all together.
Now, I know this code can look a little intimidating if you haven't seen it before, but let's walk through it. It's actually pretty logical. Select is just us saying, hey, these are the columns I want to see. From tells the database which table to start with. In our case, sales data. Now, the inner join part is the real key. That's us telling it to bring in the employee data table. And maybe the most important line is on. This is where we explain how the two tables connect, by matching the sales rep ID from one table with the employee ID from the other. It's like finding the common thread that links them.
And voila, look at that. Here's our results. We now have one single table that has everything we need. It combines the what from the sales table, the product and the price, with the who from the employee table, the name of the sales rep. We've basically created a brand new, much richer data set from two separate ones.
Now, picking the right kind of join is super important because it totally depends on the question you're trying to answer. The inner join we just used is perfect for answering who are the reps that actually made sales. But what if the question was different? What if you wanted to see all your reps and maybe find out which ones haven't made any sales? Well, for that you need a left join. This little guide here is a great way to think about matching the right SQL tool to the specific business question you're facing.
Okay, so we wrote the query, we got the data. That was a huge win. But believe it or not, the job isn't done. You could even say the most critical part is just getting started. Because getting the numbers is one thing, understanding what they mean is where the real value is.
And this is such a key point. You can have all the right data, all the perfect numbers, and still make the wrong decision. A table of data is just a table of data. It's the analyst's job to step back, look at it, and ask, so what? What does this actually mean for us? This is that big shift from being a technical person to being a true analyst.
You know, this is really what separates a good analyst from a great one. A good analyst runs the query and sends you the spreadsheet. A great analyst looks for the patterns, they go talk to the sales manager to make sure their findings make sense in the real world, and then, this is the most important part, they build a story around the data and recommend what to do next.
And ultimately, that's what this all boils down to. The data gives you the facts. The SQL query gives you an answer. But it's the analyst, it's you, who gives it meaning. Your tools can pull the numbers, but it's your brain that has to turn those numbers into a smart decision. So the next time you're looking at a set of data, the big question to ask yourself is, what's the story you're going to tell?